Welcome to this beginner Pilates video. All you need is a mat and a thin cushion for underneath the back of your head. Let's begin. Lying down onto the back of the body, begin with the heels in line with the hip sockets. Let's bring the focus into the body with the breath. Hands over the navel. Inhaling, filling the lungs with air. Exhaling, notice the belly fall. Inhale on a count of 4. And exhale on a count of 4. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale as if you're blowing through a straw, pursing the lips. And we inhale and exhale. And so resting the arms down the body, begin to incorporate the pelvic rocking motion into the breath. And so as we roll the pelvis in, flattening the back towards the mat, exhale. And as we roll the pelvis away, creating space underneath the back of you, inhale. And so exhaling, we roll in, noticing the tummy muscles activate in the front of you. Inhale, you roll away. So coming to rest in that mid position. Imagine headlights on the hip bones shining straight up towards the ceiling. And so as we inhale, open one leg to the side of the room, and then exhaling, bring the leg back to center. Do the same thing on the other side. So we notice that as we move only at the hip joint, the headlights on the hip bone shine straight up towards the ceiling. Let's do that one more time. And so now bringing the focus to the shoulders, reach the fingers up above the shoulders towards the ceiling. And reaching the 2 sets of fingers high away from you, notice the shoulder blades slide around the sides of the body. And then lower the shoulder blades and the fingers will lower. So we notice the shoulder blades slide around the sides of the body and then bring the shoulder blades down to rest underneath the back of the body. Keeping the shoulder blades against the rib cage, float the arms away overhead. Inhaling as you float the arms and exhale on the return. So notice the muscles in the front of you. Imagine 2 elastic bands between the lowest ribs and the pointy hip bones. Those elastic bands come under tension as we reach the arms overhead. And this prevents the rib cage from poking up towards the ceiling. And so to this we add a leg slide. Sliding the leg away from you along the mat and then alternate sides. Back to center. Breath out as we reach this time. Breath in on the return. And so as we move at the shoulders and at the leg, the shape of the spine should not change. And again. Wonderful. So let's rest the arms down beside the body, just a little out to the sides. Glue the legs together to touch and rocking the knees side to side. Inhaling as we go to the side. Exhale, bringing the knees back to center. The knees stack one on top of the other, and the feet stack up one on top of the other. So notice this movement around the level of the navel, as if we're wringing out a cloth. Notice the muscles at the waist pull the pelvis back towards the center. And like this one, the last one. Walking the feet in line with the hip joints. Resting the arms down beside you. Open the palms to the ceiling, lengthening through the collarbones. Walk the heels just a little closer in towards the bottom, and then inhale to prepare. Exhaling, we roll the pelvis in towards you and begin to peel the spine up and away, coming to rest on the shoulder blades. Breathe in at the top and breathe out as we lower, lowering bone by bone by bone by bone. All the way down, tailbone, last thing to hit the ground. Breathe in, breathe out, peeling the spine up and away. Lengthen at the top, the knees reaching away from you. Resist overarching the spine at the top. Sending the body down, bone by bone, all the while creating length through the whole of the spine. Roll in, peel away, and exhale. So we add some arms to this. Rolling the spine like a wheel all the way to the top, to the shoulder blades. Inhale, floating the arms away overhead. Exhale, lowering the body, bone by bone by bone, all the way down to the tailbone. And then return the arms to the ground. Inhaling, exhale, we lift, peeling the body away, reaching the knees to the front of the room. Inhale, float the arms overhead. Exhale, we lower the body, bone by bone by bone, all the way to the tailbone, and the arms follow last of all. So hugging the knees into the chest, just to give a little ease into the low back. And then place the feet in line with the hips. Hands come under the round part of the head. Place your thumbs down into the soft tissue at the back of the neck, into the muscles. Inhaling, we nod gently the chin towards the chest. Exhaling, we lift the upper body away. Inhale as we lower, and exhaling as we lift. And so focus on the lowest ribs gliding downwards towards the pointy hip bones. Keep the tension out of the neck as much as possible. Elbows sit in the peripheral vision. Breath out as we lift. Breath in as we lower. And so this time, stretching one leg long away from you along the mat. Repeat. Lifting in the center still. And so straightening the leg away from you means we can't use the hip flexor quite as much to lift the upper body. Glance towards the abdominal area to make sure that those abdominal muscles flatten towards the spine as we lift. Change sides. Breath out as we lift. Breath in as we lower. through the straw. Make sure the lowest ribs glide, closing the gap between the pelvis and the ribs. So you may notice the low back flatten just a little more towards the ground as we lift, but make sure the pelvis stays completely still. Make this one the last. And walking the heels in line with the hips. Rock the knees, this time aim 2 knees towards the ground at the side of you. Inhaling and exhaling. And come back to center. Heels in line with the hips, arms beside the body, palms towards the ceiling. Let's float one leg into tabletop, moving at the hip joint, and then change sides. So preparing to work a little more challenging work. Important to establish those deep abdominal connections before we challenge the pelvis stability. And so I offer you the option to come one leg to tabletop, send the toes reaching away from you, back to tabletop, and lower it down. Same thing on the other side. Float the leg, reach the toes away from you, back to tabletop, and lower it down. And so we reach away, straightening at the knee, activating the thigh muscles as well as the tummy muscles. Inhale, lift, exhale, reach. Inhale, back to tabletop, exhale, lower it down. Now we can always stay at a lower level. Alternatively, we can progress this exercise to hover one leg into the air, bring the second leg to join, lower the first leg, and lower the second leg. So important here that as we lift the second leg into the air, the back does not arch away from the mat. And so activating those tummy muscles just a little more strongly as we lift the second leg into the air to stabilize the pelvis. Sometimes when we do this work, we feel the need for a support underneath the back of the head. So if you feel any strain in the neck at all, this would be the time to use that thin cushion. And so a further progression brings 2 legs to tabletop, and then tapping the toes of one foot to the mat, and then the other foot. And so we have an option to add the arms. Begin reaching the fingers to the ceiling. Tap the toes of one foot. As the arms reach overhead, and then the other foot. So we're alternating legs, 2 arms move together, aiming for about 45 degrees at the shoulder, tapping the toes to the mat. Take your time. In Pilates often, the slower we do this, the harder it is. And make this one the last one. Hug the knees in, take a break. And so when you're ready, we come to lie over on the front of the body. And here, with the thin cushion underneath the forehead, bringing the arms into a W shape, hands about level with shoulders, but wider than the shoulders. Legs in line with the hip joints, and just notice the pubic bone presses heavily into the mat while the tailbone reaches away towards the heels, hovering the upper body away from the mat, using the muscles of the upper back. And so breathe out as we lift and breathe in as we lower. Notice the tummy muscles under the front of you. The tummy muscles still active. Chin is in, neck is long. No wrinkles in the back of the neck. Breath out as we lift. Breath in as we lower. Lengthening the top of the head away from the tips of the toes. And so this is the template for any time we lift the upper body away from the mat. So now adding the arms long beside the body, palms to the ceiling. Gather the shoulder blades onto the back of the rib cage, hover the arms beside the trouser seams, and then float the upper body and the arms. Return all the way to the mat. Each time in between, and then we repeat, gathering up the shoulder blades, hover the arms, and hover the upper body. Now this should not create any discomfort in the low back, and if it did, please place a cushion underneath the abdomen. Breathing out or in as we lift and lower. Most important, we never hold the breath in Pilates. Chin is in, neck is long, reaching the top of the head away from the heels, lengthening the body away from the mat. And making this one the last one. Resting the head this time onto the backs of the hands. Hover one leg away from the mat. Stay on the same side and repeat. So the straighter the leg, the more the bottom muscles will be working to lift the leg. This is not about going high, it's about lifting and lengthening as you do. And so breath out as we lift, breath in as we lower. One long line, top of the head to the tip of the toe. Tummy muscles engaged on the front of you. The whole while. And swap sides. Hovering the leg. Breathing out as we do. And in on the return. One long line. So imagining the navel gently drawing away from the ground and in and up towards the spine as we hover the leg just one last time. And then bend at the knees, rock like windscreen wipers. Ease in the low back. So when you are ready, let's come up onto all fours. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Have the middle finger facing to the front of the room, chin is in, neck is long. Breath out as we round the body into that angry cat shape. Breath in on the return. Into a gentle hollow, still creating length from the top of the head through to the tailbone. And so imagine this movement like a wave rippling from the tailbone, through the lumbar spine, upper back, through the neck, all the way to the base of the skull. And same on the Lifting, rounding, starting from the tail end, through the spine. Last of all, drop the top of the head. And so thinking of each segment in the spine moving in turn. Breath out as we round, lifting the belly towards the spine and then sinking into that hollow shape. And so come to rest now in the neutral place, neither up nor down. The whole while feel a sensation of pushing away from the floor as we float one leg away from the mat. Bring that leg back underneath you, and then the other leg. Reach, lengthen, top of the head to the tip of the toe. And so most important here, imagine a tray of drinks resting on the back of you. And we don't want to spill the tray of drinks. Chin is in, neck is long. Breath out as we reach. Breath in on the return. I'm alternating legs, which challenges the stabilizing muscles. Make sure that we don't wobble side to side. Eyes look down just ahead of the hands. Tummy muscles lifting the whole while. And then I offer you an option to add the opposite arm. Breath out as you reach. Breath in on the return. Chin in, neck long. Reach. And last time. So when you're ready, we come to lie on the side. Take the body into have the heels in line with the back of you. Arm up under the head. Alternatively, have the arm in front and a pile of cushions underneath the head. Space in the waist so that the heels, the hips, the shoulders and the back of the head are in line with the back of your mat or a wall at the back of you. Beginning, floating one knee into the air. Exhale as we lift. Inhale on the return. And so here we focus on gluteus medius, a muscle, an important muscle rotating the femur in the socket of the hip joint. And so notice that sensation of rotation as you open the knee towards the ceiling. And one more time on this side. Now hover 2 feet into the air. Imagine your feet are resting on a little footstool, still in space, floating that top knee. And so the more floaty the leg feels, it's because we are using those muscles of the center. And so lying on the side, an opportunity to engage those tummy muscles in towards the spine. Breath out as you lift, breath in as you lower. And making this one the last one. Lower the legs, lower the feet. Now taking the legs long, reaching away from you. A little bit of space in the waist. Flex the feet, check down the front of your body. You should just see the tops of your feet. Hovering the top leg, point the toes as you lift and flex the ankle as you lower. Focus on the pelvis, staying completely still. Here we have a glass of champagne resting on the hip. And so you don't want to spill the champagne as you lift and lower. Breath out as we lift, breath in as we lower. Reaching the leg long, activating the thigh muscles also to straighten the knee. Kneecap facing forwards. Now holding at the top, little circles. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and the other way. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and lower it down. Perfect. So let's switch to the other side. And begin with the heels in line with the back of you. Hips and knees just a little flexed. Body in a line. Space in the waist. Lightly resting on the fingertips. Open the top knee. Important that the pelvis does not rock back. Imagine a wall at the back of you. Breath out as we lift. Breath in as we lower. And so rotating in the hip joint, important muscles for anyone having back issues, hip issues, even knee issues can be helped. And so now float 2 feet and open again at the hip joint. Breath out as we lift, breath in as we lower. Engaging gently the navel towards the spine, even lifting into the pelvic floor in this position. Breath out as you lift, in as you lower. The leg never still, never resting, moving like a pendulum swings. And so we lower the knees and lower the feet. Stretch one long line. Flex the ankles, just see the tops of the feet down the front of you. Preserve the space in the waist as you hover the top leg away, lengthening through the front of the leg, thigh muscles active as we breathe out to lift, breathe in to lower. Kneecap facing forwards, and don't spill the glass of champagne resting on the hip. Breath out as you lift, breath in as you lower. And holding at the top now for the circles. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and the other way. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and lower it down. Good job. So let's come to sit. Ready for Mermaid to the side. Dropping down onto the elbow. Coming to the end of this session now. Reach, lengthen, up, out of the waist. And so drop down onto the elbow. Feel a stretch from the tips of the fingers all the way down to the seat bones. Last time this way. And then the other way. And so place 2 hands, one either side of the front knee. Aiming the breastbone towards the front knee, walk the arms away, either resting the forehead on the hands or stacked fists. Notice the stretch in the bottom muscles and use the exhale to create release in the tissues. Inhaling and exhaling to release into those tissues. And so uncurl and come to the other side. Swing the legs around and side bend to begin. Reach, just lightly resting the hand and windmill the arms up and over. Allow the head to follow the movement of the spine. Lengthen, reach. Last time. Down. And return. So placing one hand either side of the front knee. Allow the breastbone to drop down towards the knee. Resting the forehead onto flat hands or stacked fists. Inhale and exhale. And so notice any muscle tension dissipate with the exhale. And again. Inhale and exhale. Finally, we come to sit cross-legged to finish the session. Inhale and exhale deeply, and again, big breath in and big breath out. Last time, big breath and breath out. And well done. You are done. Thank you for joining me.